Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Jenny. One of the hardest working women in Oklahoma, white.
Since I've been up since 5 o'clock doing the program for today.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go.
So don't have a lot of viewers yet this morning. So I hate to say much of anything about Karmin, but I guess when viewers get on this morning, we can say twice. So Karmin will not be on this morning. She is a little under the weather. And so she sent me the information that she was going to talk about today. So I took that information and created a slide presentation. So hopefully it will be super easy for everybody to kind of understand what we're talking about here. And I have to say that when I was doing this program, I was kind of surprised. I mean, I think there's some weird stuff going on that we're not really understanding.
With the information that she sent?
Yeah. So, yeah, and we'll talk about that as we go along this morning, but it's let's just say this. I was a little more than mildly surprised by some of it.
Well, is that a surprise that you're mildly surprised about political
anymore? Anything that happens anymore, you're just kind of like, whatever. I mean, the world could blow up and you'll be like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Since COVID, do you really? Come on. I've become the most cynical person in the world, I think.
Yeah, COVID sparked it all. I've always been, I don't want to say in the know or anything like that, but there's always been issues, but just the complete and utter overstepping of the bounds in every possible way they could, to me, it was all just a test run to see just how compliant and how easy it might be in the future to actually, pull something off.
Yeah, hopefully. But see, it made me a cynic because I knew it was all just BS from the beginning. And, all it did was make me a cynic about everything now. Now I'm like, whatever.
Government said what? Who said what?
Yeah, whatever. Okay. Seriously. And
I think that's the true spirit of liberty there.
Yeah. Well, and then you got me stuck on those stupid books, and that ruined my life. That just.
Well, think about this just real quick. Okay, so we're putting on well over $1 trillion in debt now a year. That's a no-brainer. We're adding $1 trillion. Okay, that's interest. So we're adding, just interest is well over $1 trillion. We're paying $1 trillion just in interest now a year in debt. We're adding about every 90 days, so every 3 months, we're adding $1 trillion. Credit card debt just surpassed. It's almost $1.2 trillion in credit card debt. People are not being able to make their payments. Now you've got over 10%, or pretty much 10% of that is now in default in the credit card debt. And then you've got another percentage of that, maybe like another, I don't know, I can't remember the exact number. It's close to 100 billion of brand new people that are delinquent, that have never been delinquent before.
Wow.
So
that's the telling indicator.
That's the real issue there is you've got a massive amount of people that were never had credit card issues in the past that now have to live, buy their necessities on credit cards, and they're not making enough money to pay their credit card. They're actually delinquent. And that's not making a payment. That's just completely missing a payment is the way that number is calculated. If you make a payment, then you're not delinquent. But if you miss a payment, you are delinquent. So you've got like 100 billion people for the first time coming out of last month that are actually delinquent. That's the state. That's the state of the world.
That's horrible. I mean, that's literally horrifying and scary. But I have to say though, too, one of the things that we should have all been doing early on was staying as out of debt as we possibly could.
Yeah.
Just not buying that car for $60 million. I mean, honestly, new cars, who can afford a new car? It's insane.
Yeah.
Why do you want to go in debt to drive a vehicle? I mean, I don't know. All right. Well, we've got a few viewers on this morning, so let's get going. I am going to, for those of you who are on, because I just find it amusing. This is my t-shirt for today.
I like that.
Because I think it's funny when you look at what we're talking about today. So what we're talking about today is Karmin, since Karmin was not able to be on today, she sent me, sorry, I didn't have that queued up to the right slide. Since Karmin was not able to be on this morning, she sent me some information that she was going to talk about today. And so I have spent the morning trying to put this in a way that everybody can kind of understand it. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through a list of, now these are all Republicans. I didn't get the Democrats done, but let me assure you, the Democrats and the Republicans are not far apart here.
Yeah.
Both of them doing the same thing. And there's not like a huge difference. Oh, the Democrats are way worse. Nah. Just to let you know. All right. So let's talk about Jessica Garvin. We had our friend Kendall Sacchieri on, who's actually running for Jessica Garvin's seat. She is in SD 43. It covers basically Blanchard, Rush Springs, and Marlow, that kind of area in there. So you're not talking about an area that has a big city in it. Okay. And I want you to, this was the first, I'll give you this one. This was the first thing that kind of threw me off. I hadn't put in the district information. She hadn't given it to me other than just what it was. And then I started going back and looking at where they were in the state, these districts were, and what cities were in the districts for these people. And I thought it was informative to note that none of the people that you're going to see today, none of the legislators that you're going to see today, now put this in your head, none of the legislators that you're going to see today have districts that encompass large cities. Okay, so keep that in there.
I'm gonna write that down just so I remember.
All right, so here she is. She's a Republican. She's got a BA in communication. She's in the Senate. All right. Here is her committee membership, and I might be able to blow that up just a bit. Nope, I'm not able to blow it up just a bit. Whoops, let's go back. So her committees basically are Oversight Committee for Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency, LOFT, Health and Human Services, General Government, Retirement and Insurance, Rules, Tourism and Wildlife, and Administrative Rules. So that's a lot of committees. I mean, really, but there you have it. Now, let's talk about her total contributions. So now this is, and I'll say it for each one so we don't get caught up here. This is for her entire career. And I didn't go back and see how many, that was what I was going to add next. and I just ran out of time, the total number of years that they had served in the legislature. So I didn't put that down, but this is across all the time that she has served in the legislature, not just this session. She's received $389,532. Now, remember where she's from, right? Her in-district contributions just from individuals, just individuals alone, were $132,530. Her special interest donations were $146,871. So little area, kind of small town area, her special interest donations exceed the individual donations. The percent of contributions from in-district donations are 34%. Her percent contributions from outside the district are 65%. So again, Michael, where does she owe her allegiance?
Well, it doesn't look like to the people of her district. I mean, if we're looking at financial contribution.
So 65% of her money comes from outside of her district. I think that's, I think that's saying something. I really do.
Yeah.
The number of unique individual in-district contributions, people who are inside her district, 260 out of a 33,105 Republican registered voters.
Wow, less than 1%.
0.78%.
Yeah.
Now, come on, people. I mean, really? So when you and this is a pattern, I'll just tell you the pattern. The pattern is this all the way through, but it's interesting to see. All right. So contributions for all individuals, just individuals, period, not groups or anything else, are 61%. Contributions from special interests only are 38%. So stop and think about that. So if the contribution from special interests only are 38%, but contributions from individuals are 61, and yet she only didn't even have 1 percentage point of people in her district donating, who are all these individuals?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a question worth asking. I imagine, I didn't go back and look through, so this is just imagine. I imagine there are lobbyists, is what I imagine. So if we have a lobbyist for Merck in Oklahoma, so maybe it's the Merck lobbyist who's donating money. I don't know, but it's very interesting, and it does bode. I mean, this is a pretty telling slide when you look at that and realize that only 260 people in her district donated. I mean, this is just, okay. So let's go to Kevin Wallace. It's interesting. For some reason, StreamYard doesn't work with PowerPoint very well. So I get my PowerPoint done just fine, and then I get it into StreamYard and it squishes it down. All right. So let's look at Kevin Wallace. He actually has a leadership. He's the chair of the House Appropriations and Budget Committee, which is a pretty powerful and important role. So let's look at where his district is. His district is up in Lincoln County, which is next door to mine. The biggest towns that he serves, or the biggest town, is Chandler. Okay. Then he's got Perkins, Meeker, a few others in there. Danforth, Warwick. So the man who runs the chair of the House Appropriations and Budget Committee comes from this area. All right. He's on a whole lot of committees. He is on the Appropriations and Budget, obviously, Wildlife, Joint Committee on Appropriations and Budget, Joint Committee on State Tribal Relations, Joint Committee on Pandemic Relief Funding, Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency, LOFT, again, Conference Committee on Wildlife, GCCA. I didn't know what that is. I had to look that up. That was the General the General Conference Committee on Appropriations, which makes sense because he's on appropriations. Special Conference Committee on HB 2775 and HB 1935. Wasn't really sure about that. Have to go back and look those up. So he's on quite a number of committees again. All right, now here's the interesting thing.
That's a good amount of money right there.
Now, again, this is over his whole time in the legislature, not just this last. So people who are going, oh, my hair's on fire. It's for the whole time that he's been in. I want to say he's been in 3 sessions, because a session for House is a term is 2 years, yeah. Right? So I think he's been in 3 terms. I think so. But he's raised almost $1 million. Now, do you remember where he came from?
Big city of Chandler.
Big city of Chandler. And he's raised $1 million, but he's the chair of the Appropriations Committee. And for those of you who don't really understand what that means, let's put it like this. I am a small business. And I would like the government to give me a tax credit. So I lobby the appropriations and other legislators to make sure that I get a tax credit in appropriations, right? It's all about money and where it goes. So this person basically holds the purse strings in the House, and he has raised over $1 million. Now, in district contributions from only individuals are $85,000. He actually has in his district, he has 65 contributors to his campaign. 65. Now, it's not a huge area, right? It's only 15. I mean, there are only 15,000-ish registered Republicans in the district. He doesn't even have 0.5%. Yeah. Not even 0.5% of the people in his district are donating to him.
But he's a pretty important guy who decides where money goes to the special interest.
From these little teeny tiny towns.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of an interesting thing. So if you go back, so special interest donations are almost 1/2 of $1 million.
Yeah. Imagine that.
You know, I am really
well when it's that black and white, Jenny. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious who these people work for. It's obvious who they represent. I mean, this is literally just black and white. No one else is going to tell you this. No one else is going to show you this. No one else is going to go through and do the research to say, look at this.
So percent contributions outside his district is 91%. Only 9% of the people in his district are actually donating to him. So if you don't think that this is a problem, because we live in a republic, so, you know, and this is more like plain old democracy. I mean, it's crazy to me. So this is a problem. So when you break it down, contributions from all individuals is 52%, and yet contributions to his whole campaign are from special interests. Almost half of his campaign is special interest money. So when you go back and you look at it again, total special interest donations over the life of his life in the legislature is almost $500,000. So there you go. So then I decided we'd do Mark McBride for today, because remember, Mark McBride is the champion for public education in the House of Representatives in Oklahoma. So let's look at his district. Good night. His district is so small we have to explode it so you can actually see it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Really, his district pretty much more and a little bit of South Oklahoma City. That's it. But he's the chair of the House Appropriations and Budget Committee. Oops, no, I'm sorry. That's not. This is what happens when you go too fast. I accidentally left that on there, I think is what happened. So hopefully we're not going to have a bunch of issues since Jenni got up early and did this, but we'll see. He is not in any leadership position, so remove that. All right. He is on a lot of committees, though. He is on Appropriations and Budget, A&B Education Subcommittee, Common Ed, Energy and National Resources, Joint Committee on Appropriations and Budget, Conference Committee on Common Education, Conference Committee on Education and National Resources, Special Conference Committee on these two bills, which I need to look up, and again, the Conference Committee on Appropriations. So let's look at this. So over the life that Mark McBride has been in the legislature's contributions, total contributions have been $369,248. He's a very interesting one because his total in-district contributions are $39,000. I mean, it's even paltry compared to the other ones. So his special interest donations basically are $238,433.
So really, the people of his district, they really like this guy. They really believe in this guy. And they really want this guy in there, basically.
So his number of unique individual in-district contributors is 44.
Yeah. Hey, try to say that without laughing. Just try to say that without laughing.
How do you do that? I mean, there are almost 12,000 Republicans registered in that little teeny tiny district, and he can only get 44 of them to donate.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a literal joke. It's a slap in the face.
Less than half a percent.
Yeah. That these are the people representing more. I mean, this guy's representing more. What a slap in the face.
And yet his percent contributions from outside his district are 89%.
Yeah. Well, that's the story right there. Who wants this guy in office? That is the story, because it's not the people. It's not the people of his district.
Well, and so contributions from special interests only, he was the highest one. Of all of the ones that I did, he was the highest one, 65% of all of his contributions come from special interests. And you know what they are. They're all education. It's, it's mainly education related special interests. So public education wants him in there to fight for public education. And this is what happens. 65%. It's just.
This dude's working straight for the teachers union and COSA and OSSBA and all of them. You just work straight for them.
Oh, wait. He has 44 contributors.
Well.
44. So 44 people believe in him. So that's awesome.
It sounds like, just to rewind back on Mark, this sounds like, remember when Joe Biden was doing his campaigning and he had his little circles? You could only have so many people in a circle.
Oh, yes.
Remember that? Trump would have a sellout stadium. Joe Biden would literally have like 16 people like in the middle of a circle. This is Mark McBride right here.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good one for sure. Okay, so now let's talk about John Talley. He has an interesting district. If you were to explode this, you can see that this little section where his district is, there's kind of a cutout there, and that's for Stillwater proper. So he doesn't even really have Stillwater. He just has the area around Stillwater, and then he has Langston and Cushing. So again, huge areas, because we're not including Stillwater. All right, he has no leadership positions. Here are his committees: Children, Youth, and Family Services, A&B Select Agency Subcommittee, Higher Education and Career Tech, Wildlife, Conference Committee on Children, Youth, and Family Services, Conference Committee on Higher Education and Career Tech, Conference Committee on Wildlife, Special Conference Committee on, again, these other two bills. Now I'm dying to know. I've got to look those up. Okay. So over the course of his time in the legislature, his total contributions have been $158,000. So from inside his district, he's had 59,000 of that. Okay. Special interest donations, $73,000. So again, little bitty area. Nobody from inside the area is donating, or very few. He has a total, he actually had more than Mark McBride, who had 45 or 44. He has 116 or 166, but out of 14,000 people. So only 1.2% of his money comes from in district. Again, we actually have a legislator that's above one.
Yeah. Congratulations.
So congratulations, John Talley, for getting at least over 1% of the people in your district to vote for you. So his percent of contributions outside the district are 61%.
This is just, it's just pissing me. These guys are a joke. This government is a joke. This representation is a joke. It's all pomp and circumstance, smoke and mirrors. I mean, it's literal, just corporate control. It's like, I mean, honestly, Jenny, it's like, whether people want to believe it or not, it's like Marxism at the root. It's literal corporate control of the government. Literally, I mean, that's what it is.
Well, I don't know how you can make an argument against that, Michael. I just don't see how you can, because when you actually look at these figures, it's just, outrageous. And you look at something. Remember Ian Clinton, who was on for our largest watch program ever about the solar industrial complex in Enid. And you remember she said, hey, we've gone to our legislators. We tried to get our legislators to do something. They're not jumping in to help us here. These are their constituents, right? Yeah. Right? You can see now why it is that you can go to your legislator and you can say, hey, buddy, I need help here. We need help on this. And he just goes, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't need you. They don't need us. They don't need us.
Percent contributions outside the district. They have no need of you.
Wow. It's just so mind-blowing when you see it so simplified. I mean, is there even a single champion of the people, like, at all? I mean, I know Karmin's sending, the people that are really sketchy, but I mean, is there some champions of the people that, stay there? The majority is coming in their district, and they're meeting their people. They're having, town halls. Well, I mean, is there anyone even like that?
Well, and that's a good question, because I don't really know. And that's something that we need to, we actually do need to know. And I'm sure they're out there. Karmin was telling us about one of them, and it's sad that I can't remember who it was. But I know they're out there. It just happens to be that the ones that we're talking about today are possibly the worst offenders. So let's talk about Greg McCourtney. We'll flip through that because we've already talked about him on a previous show. But again, look at the area that he's from. Pauls Valley, Ada, Holdenville, nothing against you guys, but it's not Tulsa or Oklahoma City. I mean, they're pretty small towns. And he's majority floor leader, which is, a big deal. He's on the Joint Committee on State Tribal Relations, Oversight Committees on Loft, Joint Committee on Pandemic Relief Funding, Joint Committee on Pandemic Relief Funding, Transportation Infrastructure, and Rural Development Working Group. Over the life of his time in the Senate, he's had $570,000-ish in donations. From inside his district, about 132. His special interest donations. Now think of the overall, right? 570. His special interest donations are 310. So, again, again, same thing, different legislator. Percent contributions from in district, 11% contributions from outside, 89. I mean, again, this person Number of unique individual in district contributors, 136. Remember, we talked about this before. He has less, that he has just over 0.5% percentage point of the people that donate to him that actually live in his district. I don't understand why we're not having a freak out about this. Whitney, you just mentioned Rick West and Tom Gann. So these are good guys in the legislature. They're champions. Okay. Thank you, Whitney.
At least
So
there's
we'll have
someone.
we need to look up Rick West. I need to write that down. We need to look up Rick West and Tom Gann, and then I can put them on here so we can do a, and then look at these people, to see a difference. So thank you, Whitney, for that. I will get that done. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. So basically all individual contributions are 45%, but contributions from special interests only are 54% of his campaign. So the majority of his campaign goes to special interests. And when we talk about 45% from individuals, don't forget, it's not individuals coming from his district. Those are individuals from outside his district, possibly lobbyists and other people connected with people outside that district.
Yeah.
So there you go for Greg McCourtney. Now, this was an interesting one. So I don't know Cynthia Rowe. I have no idea how long she's actually been in the legislature. Again, I should have found these numbers out, but it was a short window to kind of get this all together. So sorry about that. But Cynthia Rowe is in the 42nd House District, which takes care of Lindsay, Lexington. We have a big prison there, Maysville, Pauls Valley, essentially. So again, smaller cities. She has no leadership positions. She's on Public Health, A and B Human Services Subcommittee, Children, Youth, and Family Services, Health Services, and Long-Term Care, Conference Committee on Children, Youth, and Family Services, Conference Committee on Health Services and Long-Term Care, Conference Committee on Public Health, Special Conference Committee, again, on these other bills. She's a nurse, if I remember correctly, so that's why all the health. All right, so total contributions for her campaign over the years, $205,000. Total in district contributions from individuals only, $12,000. These are little bitty towns. Lexington has a prison. Is it the prison? I mean, what is it? Why special interest donations of the majority, vast majority of her campaign? She's probably the lowest one we found. Look at this number of unique individual in district contributors, 27, not even 2.18% of all of her donations don't even come from her district.
Wow. You know what? How many doors you think she went out and knocked? How many people face to face do you think she talked to? Same with McCourtney, same with all these guys.
She flat didn't have to, because 93% of her contributions come from outside her district. Why would she even walk in her district?
Yeah.
So I hope when you who live in Holdenville or Lindsay, Lexington, Maysville, and Pauls Valley, I hope you don't ever go to Cynthia Rowe and expect her to do anything for you, because you're not bringing the money.
Yeah, you don't need to. Or she doesn't need to.
Contributions for special interests are 80%. She doesn't even have individuals donating to her. I mean, not even, it's just all corporate funding. She's all corporate funded. And I wish I could go back and pull her ethics reports, because I got these figures from Karmin. She was putting them up on the website. I got the figures. So I didn't come to the figures. She provided the figures for me. I added some of my own research that I did this morning, but she provided the figures. I need to go back and go through those ethics reports and find out. Holy cow.
Well, think about this, Jenny. Just like the trail Whitney's on with with the turnpike
OTA.
deal.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if we went into where every one of these prisons are, you know, every district where there's a prison, you're going to find someone just like this. And I guarantee you that I would like to see the actual kind of amount of state money or however, you know, it's done, whatever contracts are done, however it is, you know, how that ties back into, you know, their representatives. I guarantee there's a pretty clear line there.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is. Again, I have to say that I haven't looked at her ethics report, so I don't know who it is, or who that's donating or what it is. But it's clearly corporate. It's not individuals.
Wow.
And that's just horrifying. She was the worst one, I think, of all of the ones that I did this morning. All right, so let's talk about John Pfeiffer. He's the last one that I did. He's north. Medford, Pond Creek, Blackwell's a fairly large town, Crescent, and Covington. Covington, I used to drive through that going to Enid. It's 15 people. I'm sorry, Covington. Don't be, I wasn't trying to diss you. It's just a small town. Blackwell definitely being the largest one in the area. So this is John Pfeiffer. It has no leadership positions. Okay. No leadership positions, little tiny small towns. He's on the Appropriations and Budget, Natural Resources Subcommittee, Agriculture Rules, Joint Committee on Appropriations and Budget, Conference Committee on Agriculture, Conference Committee on Rules, Special Conference Committee on these two bills, and on the General Appropriations Conference Committee. So there you go. All right, now, this was another stunner. I mean, I guess Roe wasn't. This was the worst one. Roe wasn't even this bad. No, he's the worst. So total contributions, $224,000. Total in-district contributions from individuals only $3,000.
Oh my gosh.
3,000.
9 people.
So I'm dying to know who the 9 people are who actually donated to John Pfeiffer in his district, because that's, really, honestly, 9.
Well, maybe his mom, his brother,
all of his family.
Extended family.
So number of registered Republicans in his district, almost 17,000. 0.05%. He literally represents 0.05% of his district. So, Blackwell, let's think about Blackwell a second here. If you're in Blackwell, don't call up John Pfeiffer and say, hey, can you help me? Unless you're, his special interest donations were $175,000.
This is just so irritating. It's almost depressing that these are the people that are running our government. Literally. It's depressing.
So and I'm going to point out something too, and I'm sure it's a fallacy, and I'm sure it's one of those things where, you say these things to yourself. I love the fact that I move and Jesus pops up. Hey, I think the thing is this. You look at this district, and you look at the number of people who actually are registered voters in his district, which, by the way, are more than in Mark. This thing is irritating me. Hold on a second. It flips.
McBride?
Yeah. So I was going to go back and look, because Mark had you stupid. Okay, so let's look at McCourtney. He has 26,000 voters, but I think it was.
Those are Republican voters, right?
Republicans.
Registered Republicans.
Yes. So, okay, so John Talley has something similar. So I guess you could say at least John Talley, had 1% of his voters, whereas you go back and you look at John Pfeiffer. I just can't even. And the crazy thing is, they're not even individuals. I mean, it's mostly corporate donations that are
Well, and
running.
let's just say what they do here. He's going to get this big corporate money. They're going to paper the town with all his signs, all the propaganda. I mean, that's all you're going to see. So that looks like, hey, that's the guy that's winning this deal. That's who we need to vote for. And, there's no questions even asked. I mean, it's just it's like a paper tiger. It's just like nothing there.
Oh, this is an interesting thing. I wish that our friend Mary were on this morning. So I want to point out, remember we had Mary on yesterday and she was talking about the fact that, and I don't know if it would pop up, but do you remember Bartlesville has the Price Tower? Remember that?
Yeah.
And do you remember that Mary has run numerous articles about Bartlesville?
Yeah.
And Bartlesville and the drag queens and the Bartlesville and the crazy Bitcoin people coming in and them giving the Price Tower to them for free,
Yeah, and they're selling off the artwork. And
this is their representative.
Oh, is it?
This is their representative.
Wow.
So suddenly 2 and 2 is making 4 a little bit here, because if this guy is basically corporate owned, and it would be interesting. I mean, we've got some time today because that's all my slides that I had time to do this morning. So I'm going to go out and go to the ethics website. So let me go to the Ethics Commission.
Oh, and I'm going to put Mary's article up real quick.
Okay, do that.
So here's this article on V1SUT. You can just type in V1SUT Substack and the search engine goes right to it. And then this is on her page here. But this is where she talks about everything that's going on with that tower in the city. And
oh, wait, hold on. It didn't go up. There it is. Now scroll. I don't know why it didn't go up. So
move it. So
there you
can
go.
Just type in here V1SUT. This is her article. Her homepage there. It's down on the bottom left of her homepage, but this is the tower. And they're so, yeah, it'd be interesting to see that guy's the ethics reports of, I wonder if that company donated pretty heavy to him in some capacity, or who did, or what.
Well, so here's what I was going to do. I was actually going to share. I'm going to remove this for a second, and then I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, because people tend to say to me, well, I don't know how to navigate the Oklahoma ethics, website. So here's what this is. So here's the Oklahoma Ethics Commission website. And we're just going to do a live little search so that you guys can kind of see this. Down at the bottom here, it says view and file reports the Guardian system. So again, notice here's ok.gov/ethics. All right. You're going to go all the way down to the bottom and you're going to click on file reports. Okay. And this is what comes up. And it says the Guardian, Oklahoma Ethics Commission. All right. So now we're going to go down here. We're going to go over here where it says search, and I'm going to search candidates and committees. So you can go over here and search candidates. So now I'm going to type into the box John, and how do you spell his last name? P-F. Is it I-E?
Yeah, or that's what you had.
Well, nothing's coming up, and so that's not right. All right, where did I find that? Hold on. Oh, it's EI. That's it. That would do it. So, but that's another good point. You have to spell exactly correctly, or this isn't going to come up properly. All right. Now you notice that once I was able to spell the name properly, bada bing, it comes up. Now, so I want you to look down here. These are for his election. So now we know how long he's been in office. Holy cow.
Got all those voters keeping them in there. All those contributors, all what? What is 9 of them?
My goodness. Oh my goodness. Guys, that's awful. I mean, that's 8 years, basically. Okay. All right. So notice these have been terminated because these were previous election campaigns. And so they just terminate them. And then you have to go ahead and file a new one. So we're going to go down here and we're going to look here. And it says, so basically his treasurer is somebody at FBT Bank. Why does my rooster always come outside my window and just sit there and yell while I'm on podcast? So farm life. So here's what you're looking for. So they did file all of the, oh no, he hasn't even filed. Oh, these are new ones. See, it says 2026. So you're all fine. He has no late or filing or compliance fees. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to go click on first quarter report. All right. Share this tab instead. This should be, is it coming up?
Yeah.
Okay. So
you may want to, you can increase, make it a little bit bigger on the top there. And then hit that little side up at the top left. You can hit that menu button so it, otherwise, yeah. There you go. That'll put it on the screen a little better.
Yeah, I'm trying to. All right, here we go. So, all right. So he transferred $89,000 from his prior committee. So that would have been the one for the previous 2-year run, right? So just this year, he's had individual contributions of $12,000 and $9,000 for PACs. That's just this campaign season. Holy cow.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good chunk of percentage of his
so
money.
Now we know American Fidelity Corp PAC, Associated Builders and Contractors PAC, Cox Communications PAC, Delta Dental PAC, Charles Harrison of Gypsum LLC. Here's our favorite, Kyle Hilbert. Oh, this is an interesting one. Wow. So Kyle Hilbert, who is another member of the House, donated from his own fundraising committee $3,300. I think that's the max, $3,300. Isn't it interesting that Kyle Hilbert is running for Speaker of the House? Might that be interesting at all?
Maybe.
Okay. Oh, Dustin Hillary, $500. Edward Hilliary, $500. Whitney. Home Builders PAC, $399. That's a weird one. Jamie Longacre, who's a lobbyist. I don't know who she's a lobbyist for. I'd have to go back up and look. Barry Moore, lobbyist, BKM Group, $1,000. Muskogee Nation, $1,000. Oklahoma Beef PAC, $1,000. Oklahoma Bankers Public Affairs Committee, $250. Oklahoma Committee of Automobile Retailers, $500. Oklahoma Funeral Directors Association, $500. Oklahoma Optometric Political Action Committee, $500. Kevin Patah, CEO of Mango. Whitney, know what Mango is? $1,000. Petroleum Alliance PAC, $750. Realtors PAC of Oklahoma. Have you seen one individual contributor from his district yet? Just curious. One?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
I didn't think so, but I was just checking. Realtors PAC of Oklahoma, $1,000. Carl Renfro, banker, retired. So that's probably one, 3,300 max. State Chamber PAC, $500. Thoroughbred PAC, 350. Union Pacific Corporate Fund, 500. United Community Bank or Political Action Committee, $500. Valero PAC from San Antonio, Texas, folks. San Antonio, not even a border town. Valero PAC, have to look that one up, $500. Andrew Wyrick, president of the Medical Research Foundation, $250. Okay, so these are transfers and other funds. So he transferred in that $89,000 from a previous campaign. And these are what he spent money on. The Logan County premium sale, he advertised for $450. Noble County Fair for $250. Why would he even bother? None of his money comes from his district. So there you go, peeps. We've gone through an ethics report. You've seen the entire ethics report. If this isn't instructive, I'm not really sure what you would find instructive, but these are the people that are running your state. It's not individuals. It's not individual voters, guys. Not that. It's all of these people that we just went through. American Fidelity Corp. And by the way, American Fidelity Corp is the one that's most associated with teachers in the state. That's where teachers' retirement goes through. So it's Builders Impacts, Cox, Delta Dental. I mean, so
and think about this. What a slap in the face, when we go down to the Capitol and we go in with documents, research, all the stuff. We go into every single office to go talk to every one of these guys and try to inform them. They don't even care. They don't even care. They could just care less.
So Whitney just told me that mango is a cannabis. I just can't even believe it. How are people in Oklahoma not with pitchforks and
no one knows
flamethrowers at this point on the Capitol steps going, are you kidding? Yeah. We elected you. But see, again, we don't elect these people. Yeah. We don't elect these people. PACs elect these people.
Yeah.
Lobbyists elect these people. You just saw John Pfeiffer, bigger than life. That's who we have in the Oklahoma legislature, guys. That's it.
Wow. I mean, it's just mindless. It's mind-blowing, Jenny. I mean, it really is. But escalate that up, to all levels of government. And then you got all the unaccountability with all these other agencies, inside agencies and committees and it's total BS. I mean, it's total BS. Nothing about any of it is representative of the people. I mean, it's just all fake and lies.
And it's our fault. I mean, my gosh, I think of all of the things and I was kind of weird because I was, I went through that whole liberal phase when I was in college. I mean, I think you just kind of do because you're kind of propagandized that way anyway. And I had never really, I was a mom when I was 19. I mean, it wasn't like I was out doing crazy stuff. I mean, I literally ran a household from the time I was like 19 years old. So, I didn't have a huge worldview and we didn't have the internet then, and so when I went to college, I got a whole bunch of information and it was, of course, very liberally, I was very liberally dusted with liberal ideals. And
but I will say some of that liberalism from the the 60s and early 70s is not the same liberalism today.
Well, but I remember when I was in college, because I was in college in the late 80s and the early 90s, because I was a non-traditional student, obviously. And I had we were even taught back then that oil was going to be gone in 55 years.
Yeah.
Oil was going to be gone in 55 years. Global warming was melting the ice packs. I mean, we were doing all of this. Oh, no. No, during the time that I was in there, we were told that global warming was, that the hole in the ozone layer, remember we had the hole in the ozone layer thing. Nobody talks about that anymore because they figured out that it was just part of the world and the way it works. But yet we made this big, huge thing about it. And, oh, these horrible rays are coming in through this hole and we're all going to die. Ah! Chicken Little syndrome. And now, of course, they don't even talk about that anymore. But because all of this is just nonsense. So I was pretty, and eco-terrorism was a thing. And I mean, so yeah, I got kind of a liberal dose. But when that my husband, whom I met in college, is the brainiac of the family. And he was in physics. He got his bachelor's in physics and got his master's in electrical engineering. So what's he doing with me? But anyway, he had a friend, because when we got together, we were kind of a little liberal, but then Dave had a friend who he credits with kind of changing his whole life. And because of Keith, then changing David, then David kind of changed me. And then it was just kind of a round robin. And we just started waking up and going, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so from then on, so that was probably 92-ish or so, from then on, we started following what was going on in Oklahoma politics. Just basically, I mean, we would turn on Sunday morning television and watch, the shows and that kind of stuff, but nothing like we have now. And like I've said before, it wasn't until I was sitting in front of Fox News one morning watching and them talking about George Bush W doing the whole, we're going to pay for everybody's, pharmaceuticals. And then I went, wait a minute, what are you talking about, paying for everybody? How? And then from then on, it just kind of started escalating until I walked around with a magnifying glass on government everywhere I went. But I get that people don't pay attention to this, but please don't come to me and complain and not know the basic stuff that Michael and I just showed you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, so wild, Jenny. You think about, I mean, you hear, the media is so involved in this in painting a certain picture of government, how great it is and the representation, all this. And you hear these, fringe people talk about shadow government and all this stuff. And, they're branded crazy and all this. I mean, you're looking at the evidence right there. I mean, you're looking at a person in like John Pfeiffer, who he doesn't work for the people in any capacity. He works for the corporate interests and these PACs and 100%. I mean, it's in black and white right in front of you. So he's not working for the people the way this government was designed to represent and work for. I mean, if that's not just a simple correlation between how the government really works behind closed doors, when you're not, even though, and here's the funny part, just like everything, it's all out in the open. Who's going out there to actually look at those ethics reports? They do it right in our face. And that's the biggest slap, is it's really not hidden from us at all. It's right in our face, but no one is paying attention because we're so busy trying to survive in our regular lives as it is. We don't have time to go do all this stuff.
Well, have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks for wrecking the week again.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't, and I wish I had some kind of a crystal ball that I could see what was going to happen in the future. And I have no way of knowing, but I don't know how you fix this problem. If you're electing people, because it's a circular problem. So these corporations donate money to these people to get them to vote the way that they want to. And they'll tell you, these representatives will say, I don't vote the way whatever. Anyway, they'll give them money. And then they get to run these campaigns on that money that make it sound like they're just the greatest person in the world, which does several things. It helps prevent people from running against them, because people are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to put all that money in to go against John Pfeiffer. He's got all this money. I mean, I don't want to do that. Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of impedes other people running against them. Then in terms of that, then all that you do is get spammed, from the people who run their campaigns. You just get spammed by them, and people just go, okay, well, I guess I'll vote for them, because only the voters in the district can vote for them.
Yeah.
Right. So the voters in this district are voting for that man, even though they're being propagandized and owned by people outside their district.
Yeah.
I don't know how you fix it until you wake everybody up and people say, you know what, I want to know what's going on, and they go out and figure it out. And I will say, I showed everybody how to get onto the ethics website, and I pulled up that ethics report, and we walked right through it. So it's not like you can't do the same.
Yeah. Well, at some point, and that's the whole thing. It's, even though it is all out in the open, they have to disclose all this.
Yeah, they do.
No one else is really covering this. I mean, do you see this on 4, 5, 9? No, new. I mean, these reporters, if journalism was really the check and balance, the way that they're supposed to be, you'd see that this stuff would have been eliminated a long time ago, because no one wants to be like, if John was on the news every single night with these ethics reports and just drawing questions, just asking questions, say, hey, what do you think about this? Is this the way our government should work? I mean, just simply asking questions and showing examples. Those people would disappear, and you'd have real people that actually represent the people and make the right decisions and do what is supposed to be done, to protect our rights, our liberty, our freedoms, and our way of life. Yeah. Not the corporatocracy that's happening.
Well, I think what I need to do is, I need to add Rick West and Tom Gann to this, so that people can see that there are actually people out there, and I'll add that to the slideshow, and maybe I'll just redo the slideshow and we'll put it up someplace. But guys, if you stayed on and watched this, and we had a lot of people who left this morning, and I think it's because they think, well, what am I going to do about it? Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds like a stupid,
it's like empty, a cliche from all the shows.
It is. It's like a stupid, empty cliche. Knowledge is power. So what am I going to do? Am I going to hit somebody with a book? I mean, I get it. It's not, I get it. But the thing of it is that once you know, and you tell your neighbor, and your neighbor tells your neighbor, and then everybody starts to finally figure out exactly what's going on, then you can do something about it, because you can say, hey, this money's all coming from outside. If you had educated voters who would see the garbage that comes in the mail, those push cards, and go, well, that's stupid. John Pfeiffer hasn't helped us at all. Right? I mean, if you could get people to do that, and to be awake enough to vote for people who actually would take money from in the district and help, that would be the way to go. The only other thing to do is to get a law passed that would say only 20% of the money that you raise can come from outside of your district. But here's where you have that problem. How are you going to get the legislators who are doing this very same thing to vote for that bill?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it always comes down to.
You're never going to get them to do that. They're never going to vote against their own self-interest. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't be doing this in the first place. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, they wouldn't be taking this kind of money in the first place from outside their district if they were people who really cared about doing the right thing in the first place. I mean, it just makes some sense to think about it like that. So, boy, I don't know. This has been kind of the shortest because we might as well just sign off at this point. I mean, we're pretty much finished with the topic for today, but I think it's been probably one of the most important ones that we've done.
Yeah.
But until we can get people to watch it and pay attention and understand it, this will only go further into the crapper. It's not going to get any better. Only you have the power to. That's what we need to do. We need to get a Smokey the Bear. Only you have the power to vote for the people you want to. I mean, I don't know.
Well, hey, it's got to start somewhere. It's escalated to this point because of the uninformed nature of politics and government. Maybe this is going to be the start of, a turning point going in the other direction where we are going to have much more informed voters. But it is, like you said, it is on us to tell our neighbors, to tell our friends, to say, hey, look at this clip that Jenni made. It's only 4 minutes. It runs through this deal. Look at this and this is how it's working right now. Believe it or not, just watch this thing, and that will maybe, be a little kindling to, get things going. But you're right. I mean, when you've got the wolves guarding the hen house, the way all these politicians, I mean, just look throughout history, the worst abusers of the law are always the people writing the law. I mean, they're the worst abusers always. They're exempt. They have all these, little loopholes, their families get out of everything. I mean, it's like unbelievable. I mean, look at Joe Biden and his son Hunter and all the deals that we know.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the maximum. Yeah. That's the poster child right there is Joe Biden.
Come on. And I hate having to go to the federal level because it's happening here also, even at the smallest probably municipality. You mentioned BK Moore was a contributor up there to John. Well, he's Edmond City Council. He's a city councilman. He won the city council seat this year.
Really?
Yeah.
And yet he's donating to John Pfeiffer.
Yeah, through his lobby.
For Pete's sake. See, I mean, it's just, but again, only you, Smokey the election bear. Only you. Corruption. Yeah. I mean, only you can stop election corruption. I mean, it's just absolutely the truth. So, I think we will get off for today. There's not a whole lot more to say. I think we've said what we need to say. I will say that on next Wednesday, we have Julianne. Our friend Julianne Romanella is going to come on. We're not sure kind of what we're going to talk about, but we'll see. Then on the 24th, I originally had our friend Wendy scheduled, and I'm going to move her back a little bit because our friends from OTA have we had a meeting the other day, and they have some of the most explosive, important information that I no reporters are doing this. There is no news media. They've actually been to the news media and said, hey, will you cover this? And news media won't cover it. So yours truly, me and Michael, will cover it. So tune in next Friday. You're definitely going to want to see that presentation by the two ladies from OTA, Pike Off OTA, who are going to talk about the Turnpike and what's going on with that, because it's just, I was going to say fascinating, but watching a worm make a cocoon is fascinating. This is more like, I don't know, makes your stomach churn. It's yucky. So anyway, that's what's coming up for next week. Don't forget that on the 31st, we will not be on. We're going to take Memorial Day weekend a little early, and we will not be on live, but we will have a rope replay for you, possibly even the wind turbine one. So we will have that up for you so that you can turn in and watch it. If you think, hey, I haven't had time to tune into that and I'd really like to see it, make sure that you do it. If you've got that time on Friday morning, tune in and watch it live. It'll be right there. We also have all of our videos on our YouTube and our Rumble channel. You can go and look at those at any time, whether you miss them live or not. If you want to share them with people, go to the YouTube channel, go to the Rumble channel, share from there, and you can do that. Also, on YouTube, we have a little clips section in there. So if you don't want to give them the whole video, if you're afraid they won't sit through the whole thing, go down and find it. I've got them. I took one day and just went through and categorized everything. So if you know kind of what category you're looking for a video for, go to the categories, pull out the clip, and then you can forward the clip to somebody, and you don't have to forward them the entire video. So always donate. You can always donate on our Patreon website, Reclaim Oklahoma Parent Empowerment. And did I miss anything, Michael?
No, I don't think so. We do need help. Anything $5 here or there, I mean, it makes a huge difference to us. So anything you can do anytime helps tremendously.
Absolutely does. And, you know, even if you can't afford to help us monetarily, share the stuff. We're the only people in Oklahoma telling you this stuff. Share it.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you again next Wednesday. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. The weather's supposed to be lovely. So get out in your gardens and get out and get some sun. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again next Wednesday.
Bye.